It isn't unusual for those who live in small towns to become suspicious of outsiders. After all, they don't know the history of your home. Why did they even come? Do these people even have any family here? That sort of paranoia can manifest itself in many different ways, but routes usually lead to disaster, and Misumisou, by the talented Rensuke Oshikiri, explores that terror in deep detail. Haruka Nozaki is a quiet middle schooler who, due to her father's job transfer, moves to a small town and attends a tiny school. Her homeroom has like 10 kids. Despite being polite and kind, the student body absolutely hates her, ripping her to shreds on the daily with insults, theft of her possessions, and, eventually, physical confrontations. The homeroom teacher sees the bullying, but wanting to be seen as cool to the middle schoolers, and partially out of fear, she ignores it. Haruka's only friend is Mitsuru Aiba, a photographer who cares deeply for her. The bullying escalates to a point where her parents become aware, but Haruka assures them that with graduation around the corner, she'll put up with it and attend a high school away from these shitheads. Unfortunately, the classroom bully has it out for Haruka and orchestrates a plan with the other students to burn her house down, with her family still inside. Haruka discovers this devastation, and despite losing her father and mother, she vows to continue on attending school, seeking revenge against her bullies along the way. The atmosphere of this manga is thick, dreary, and cold. The writing isn't anything crazy, but the art does a lot of heavy lifting, showing you how grotesque these children can be. The emotions that envelop them, from hurting one another, to lying to their parents, to hunting each other to kill, is so well done. Oshikiri has had recent success with High Score Girl, and also authored Diro Diro. He specializes in youthful characters with expressive motions, and seeing his art form and style of writing in its earliest stages is fascinating. The first volume of this manga sets up this town and the conflict very well. By the second volume, the story switches to a quicker pace with much more action. There are moments where the supporting cast get a bit of development, or we see a flashback explaining how they ended up the way that they did. But it doesn't detract from Haruka's goal, and the payoff by the end of this manga is very satisfying.
Nozaki, 靴は下駄箱に入れない方がいいんじゃない？やだ、無理だよ。明日の投稿どうすんだよこれ。マジ無理なんだけど。絶対無理。いってらっしゃい。
One of my favorite elements of Misumisou is how the kids are so focused on graduating. When you're that young, I can see how things like school dances and graduation and summer break are looked at with such reverence. All these kids really care about is having an idyllic school life. Rumi, one of the main antagonists of this manga, is a tragic villain that reads like a dumb kid who gets caught up with the wrong crowd, slipping through the cracks. I wonder, would Rumi have turned out to be a normal, well-adjusted kid had she never became the target of bullying? If she had never met Haruka? This is a really good story. It's been made into a movie called Liverleaf, which is a mostly faithful adaptation. I'd recommend watching it. A manga that I read last year, Children, covers the same themes, but Misumisou does it so much better. You really do feel the isolation of living in a small village when reading this manga. Give it a read. It's a solid 7 out of 10.